Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And now we're also joined by Dr. Sherif Khoreiby, the Secretary General of the Arab Economic Council. Dr. Khoreiby, thank you very much for joining us. Doctor, first of all, the Suez Canal Global Navigation Conference was held under the title Suez Canal Opportunities and Challenges. What are the challenges that you see are laying ahead of the government and also for the investors trying to invest in this project?
Okay, first of all, of course, this step or this stage of the Suez Canal development project is considered phase 2, because phase 1 we have finished it already by the new Suez Canal open or launching. That one, or this phase, is concentrating on the projects which it can be done for facilitating the marinatory activities in the Suez Canal and in the ports, either in the Mediterranean or in Ismailia or in Suez. Yes. Because we are going to have a port in Ismailia also very soon. So the challenges is, it is in front for the investors, is to come and see and decide to start his business, either in logistics or in industry, or even for, if you have a shipment line, if you want to start also to have a hub for your ships in this place, because it is going to be the most important logistics center all over the world, starting from this phase. The challenges for the government is to convince the investors to come and also to finance what is remaining from the phases, because as we know, up till now the finance in the Suez Canal development project it reaches till now very close to $10 billion, and we are expecting something like the same value in the coming 3 years. So without having a package of incentives for any company to come and invest and participate in the project, we shall have or face difficulties. We know, all of us know that Egypt right now, we have some little small economic problems which is going to be sorted out after having the reality of this, mega projects, especially Suez Canal. So this is the challenges. About the opportunities, of course, any company now, when they will come to Egypt and to that very, very special place or special location, they are going to get the benefits of having participating in this area, because that location is the smartest for the international trade all over the world, because it links north with south and east with west, and also the facilities after having the new Suez Canal and the other canal which is going to be launched, I think, a couple of days.
Yes,
tomorrow. That new one also, it widened the area for having projects, because now we have a very big area between the old Suez Canal and the new Suez Canal, and we have another area now. This area, especially for logistics and for containers exchange and whatever. So any company will share or will have a project in that area, in the north of Suez Canal, for sure they're going to get the advantages of the location, for sure they're going to get the facilities of the Egyptian government, which already introduced the incentives also it's there. And when we heard the speech of General Mohammed Mish yesterday, when he said that we are going to reduce the trip time by 10 hours by the new East Port Side Canal, because we should, frankly speaking, we should name it, this is the main one is Suez Canal, the second one we can call it whatever, and so that 10 hours saving in the time of the shipment or of the trip or for the ships, it's a very, very big number. I mean, you can look at the cost of the fuel, you can look at the cost of the manpower, you can look at everything. So I think the opportunities are very big. and the challenges also are very big.
Yes.
So we should face the challenges by smart ways. And for the investors all over the world and the Egyptians as well, they should take the opportunity to have projects in that area.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Well, Dr. Massoud, you both mentioned the logistical problems and how challenging it is to facilitate a lot of the maritime activities taking place within the canal. How were we actually operating before even the expansion of the Suez Canal project was established? I mean, the Suez Canal has been there for ages, and we've been really dependent on it as well, along with tourism for foreign currency. If all these challenges are there, how were we actually operating before the establishment of the expansion of the Suez Canal?
Well, actually, we were just happy about the minimum gains we used to have from Suez Canal, but now we are looking for a target of, instead of having $6 billion a year of revenues, we are looking as a target for $100 billion as a target. So if you set this target, then you should not be happy about the way you are running the show before. We used to use the Suez Canal only as a shipment or shipping route only. We used not to provide high quality logistics for a service for the shipments, so we didn't gain so much of the service. That's it. Now we have a target, and a huge target for us to achieve. Then if you want to change the reality, you have to change what you are doing now. So we are going to change it really, the situation, by adding, like doctor said, actually by adding a new branches of the Suez Canal, and the most important thing of that, creating logistics center, which is I agree with Dr. Khoreiby, that is going to be one of the most important, if not the most important, one of the most important logistics center all over the world. So this is why actually we have to do it. If we are really happy about what we have been doing, then we should be happy about $6 billion a year, not more. And a problem that we may face another competitors in the future. So you really have to take a step ahead. If you didn't take a step ahead, then you will lose your share in the shipping market. So this is a very smart move that the government did, and the political leadership actually is really concentrating on. So this is what I believe in this issue.
Well, the inauguration and the end of the first phase of the expansion took place late last year, but still it didn't really live up to the expectations in terms of revenues that we expected to collect or gain after the expansion. Should we expect after such conference that the revenues or the outcome of the expansion would actually increase, or should we actually wait for a few years' time until the second phase, the developmental phase of the Suez Canal is finalized?
Well, really, we don't expect that we are going to have like a jump in revenues. We don't expect it. Okay, why? Because the shipping actually is related to the world trade issues and so on and so on. And you still haven't provided really the logistics center that you were talking about, and all other supplementary service. Okay, so like if you are preparing a building to be a restaurant, where while you are preparing, you don't expect actually new customers to come. You have to really finish, and you really have to, the second is you have to really introduce your product, and that it is a very competitive product and a high quality product, then we expect the revenue. But for myself and my opinion, I'm really optimistic about it. It's going to take time. But we should do it in a very bland way. We just not, and this is the way actually so far the government is doing, and Suez Canal Authority is doing is very good plans and moving very smoothly. So this is just, as Dr. Khoreiby said, this is just the second stage. We're still moving ahead. In the second stage, you don't expect the jump that we are looking for.
Yes, definitely. Well, Dr. Khoreiby, you've mentioned the work that the government needs to do to help with all the logistical process and the facilitation for all the maritime activities. Now, we're holding this conference to look at the opportunities and also try and overcome the challenges. But shouldn't we already have a plan of facilitating all the logistical process and the bureaucratic steps that need to be taken before we hold this conference, so as to get or attract the foreign investors and tell them that those were the problems and these are the solutions and we are ready for it? Or should we actually just wait and discuss all these solutions with the foreign investors?
Of course, as Dr. Mentioned, we shouldn't wait. Wait for what? Actually, I think if we are looking at that giant project, when he just mentioned about the expected income after finishing the whole project, which is 100 billion, and there is another study saying it's 200 billion. I think it should be because regarding to studies, already feasibility studies, which it used to be done. It is not like this. Frankly speaking, let me disagree with my friend here, because I am sure there is studies. There is a slight increase of Suez Canal revenues after the new Suez Canal launched, and we are expecting more by the new East Portside Canal, because when you say that you are making saving in the trip by 10 hours, it will encourage a lot of maritime companies to send their ships through this way. Also, by the new Suez Canal, it used to take only ships by, I think, load of 50 or 100,000. I don't remember exactly, but now all types of ships can go through Suez Canal. Until looking at, now the maritime companies are testing the way, and a few weeks ago it was mentioned in the news that the biggest ship all over the world crossed the Suez Canal. And that test, when it will succeed, it will encourage the rest to come, especially after having this very big loss in the oil prices. So also it will encourage the ships which carry the crude oil itself to go Suez Canal, because normally it doesn't, because of the cost of crossing the Suez Canal. On the other hand, up till now, surprisingly, we don't have an investment law till now. The investment law till now, it is not clear, and it's funny, because I myself, as you know, I'm working in international business, and I have a lot of friends. I'm encouraging a lot to come and to invest in Egypt. So the question which I couldn't answer for about 1.5 years now, what is the incentive of the investment of Egypt? And of course, when we mentioned that, it affected even the financial sector here in Egypt. We can see the raise of the dollar value in front of Egyptian pounds. That's because there is no investment. How come to encourage someone to come and invest here while he doesn't know what the benefits of investing in Egypt? And the other countries, starting from United States of America up to the poorest country in the world, they have a very clear investment law with a very clear investment incentives. If you do this, you will take that. If you do this, you will take that. So it's something I cannot understand, frankly speaking. We have what we are calling a Ministry of Investment and a Minister of Investment. This minister, what is doing? How come to still in his place while this is happening? We have conference, and after conference, since now we have the first conference, which took place in the last year in Sharm el-Sheikh also.
Yes.
And the second conference for the three economical regions, which is SADC, COMESA, and East Africa. And then we have the third one in Marsa Matruh for developing the west part of Egypt. And now we have the conference of the economic conference for helping Africa, and the fifth one for the Suez Canal. So we have 5 very, very big international conferences. And during this international conference, we didn't have, or we don't have up till now, a clear investment law with clear incentives. So when you are talking about bureaucracy, it is not bureaucracy.
Yes.
Frankly speaking, it is, I don't know, it is something which somebody which cannot take his responsibilities in proper way or whatever. About bureaucracy, I am sure that this project and other giant projects, it should have something of government treatment by using all facilities to encourage people, on the investors. You know that, as I told you, in the United States, the biggest or the giant economy of the world, they have a very, very impressive investment law, and they are inviting investments even from Egypt.
Yes.
Even from Egypt.
Yes.
So if there is a competition among the 197 countries to host or to receive investments, we should use what God gave us, because God gives us impressive location, impressive weather, good population, well-educated people. So what is remaining is to use all of these natural resources and to convince the other to come and invest in our country.
Well, Dr. Khoreiby, you've mentioned all these international conferences of great importance that have been taking place for quite a while now, and all the hype and the hopes and the aspirations that were really hanging on these conferences, such as the economic conference in Sharm el-Sheikh earlier the year before. Now, they didn't really materialize in the way Egyptians had hoped for. Should we expect the same results for this Suez Canal Global Navigation Conference?
I hope so. Because all of the conferences which have been done before, there was no any mechanism for making follow-up for the recommendations and results of these conferences, at least for the normal system, for the people of Egypt. Maybe the governments they have, but why not to put something like a website for each conference? This is the results and recommendations. This is the expected time schedule for having, because the first economical conference, we have 3 groups or 3 sets of outputs. The number one, which is very short, which it will use to concentrate on the infrastructure for making the country itself receiving investors, and we have a very good infrastructure, which has already happened. I mean, if we, at the end of the conference, if we say, okay, we have something which you will see immediately, which, making the roads, the bridges, increasing the power production, all of this is the infrastructure, and this will take from 1 to 2 years.
Yes.
So the people themselves, so look, when they go to Somalia Road or Alexandria Road, or even inside all regions of Cairo or other small cities, because I'm witnessing this myself, you can see that the construction of the infrastructure is already there all over the country. So people, they will be not patient, but they will be optimistic, because at least the first set of the recommendations is already done. The second set, we should be honest with people. They will say, we cannot expect that the investors from all over the world, especially multinational companies and big investors, to invest the second day of the conference, because we have first, they should make the feasibility studies and look for the finance and whatever. At this stage, it will take from 1 to 3 years So they will not expect any more investment before 3 years, and this is the reality.
Yes.
And the second phase, when this company will make the feasibility studies and secure the finance and be sure about the market and about the human resources inside the country or even the region, they will start doing or they start constructing their projects. And that phase, it depends on the project itself. So it will take another from 1 to 3 years. So to be practical and to be honest, the expected very big revenue we are expecting from the Suez Canal project, it will never come after 5 years from now. It will start raising up, because the projects of logistics and trading facilities, it doesn't take a lot of time. So we are expecting to be in reality on the ground already within 1 or 2 years. So we are going to get the outcome of these projects. But the other one, like we are talking about Russia Industrial Park, for example. This industrial park, it's just a piece of land. First, we need to make the infrastructure, and then to make feasibility studies for the projects and whatever.
Yes.
That's my opinion.
Yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be now focusing on the economic industrial zones on the Suez Canal. But first off, let's check out this report regarding the Suez Canal economic zone industry operations that should be starting and operating by 2020. We'll be right back.
The General Authority for the Suez Canal Economic Zone, Ahmed Darwish, said Egypt is working on infrastructure at the Suez Canal Economic Zone that will allow industry investing in the area to start production by 2020. Darwish said the authority aims to have by 2020 an infrastructure that allows the start of production, adding that would start an investment campaign at the end of March to attract potential investors from Japan, France, South Korea, Saudi Arabia and the UAE. According to Darwish, Egypt is also due to receive delegations from Italy, the UK, Malaysia and the African Development Bank, amongst others, this month in order to explore opportunities in the economic zone. He said he aimed to complete the legal, regulatory, investment and financial frameworks within the body of this year. Egypt is developing an area of 460 square kilometers around the Suez Canal, the fastest shipping route between Europe and Asia, into an industrial and trade hub in the hope of attracting billions of dollars in investment to help Egypt emerge from an economic crisis. He said Egypt seeks to lure heavy industries to the Suez Canal economic zone within the coming period through paying more visits to Arab and foreign countries. The trade will be given a special boost after a Russian industrial zone is also built at the Suez Canal. The decision to build the Russian industrial zone in Egypt was reached by the Russian President Vladimir Putin and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi in 2014. The industrial zone will significantly improve not only Russia's trade with Egypt, but with other African countries. 70% of Russian trade could be with Africa and 30% with the local market. In 2014, Egypt announced the modernization of the canal, one of the world's major transportation routes.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Resuming our conversation regarding now the Suez Canal economic zone that will be operational by 2020. Dr. Massoud, now the economic zones, the industrial zones, will they only be economic industrial zones that have nothing to do with the Suez Canal maritime activities? Should we expect some common ground having general industrial sectors and industries being part of these economic zones as well as the maritime activities, or are they both totally separate?
Well, I believe they are very connected together, and we cannot say what activities exactly is going to be in these zones because it depends on the investors themselves. We provided the land for this area. We will provide the infrastructure, and after that, the foreign investors or even domestic investors can say, according to the feasibility study, he's doing for his own project, and he will invest. But why they are very connected together? Because definitely, once you have these marine activities, for sure you will find some sectors they're growing up and needs more manufacturers and more plants to be established there. But yet we don't know how it is gonna be. But this is our expectations. Our expectations really. So, but I add up and elaborate a little bit about what Dr. Khoreiby said, that providing land and providing infrastructure does not necessarily really attract investors. This is just one part of the story. The other part, we still have to look at what the incentive package we have.
If
it's really competitive or not. And not only the investor rules, even if we have the greatest investment laws in the world, and you have the bureaucracy there, and you don't have enough qualified people to actually to run the show and dealing with the investors, you will still have a problem. So we need the investment laws, which is to provide, as Professor Khoreiby said, actually it has to provide clear incentives, very clear incentives, and not only clear incentive, but also it has to be having a competitive incentives. What we provide for investors to invest here, not in other countries. Guess what? Now some investors really are keen to invest in Africa, for instance, and the Chinese are investing so much in Africa now. So what we provide in Egypt for the Chinese investors and businessmen to come and invest in this area. So we really need these steps also to be taken and to taken sooner than later, and to be really clear. Not only that, we have a problem of communication. Even you have the great law of investments, and you don't communicate with that. Communicate with the foreigners, foreign investors, trade chambers of commerce all over the world, and so on and so on. It's not going to be really that effective as we expected. So this is the whole system has to work together. It is really the whole system to work together. But we have industrial all that has a huge prospect. Huge prospect. Also, I really agree with Professor Khoreiby when he said that if the Russian invest here in this area, they have the benefits also to export to Africa. African market is growing, and given the fact that the economic growth in many African countries is really catching up. We are talking some countries last year achieved around 8% of economic growth, and so on and so on, which means that the demand and the market in African nations are going to be really expanding in the near future. So Russians are going to be very benefiting from here, but also domestic investors, our investors, which we have already some investors investing in Africa, and they have the whole experience. We should help them to open the market more. And for this reason, the COMESA actually conference here, conference in a few days, was a great step actually to open up the African market for the Egyptian investors and Egyptian producers.
Well, Dr. Massoud, do you think that laying the infrastructure for the economic zone should go in or should start or be operating at the same time as the developmental projects that are taking place on the sides of the Suez Canal? What do you think would be the best possible scenario for the best and fastest outcome for these projects, to have them both taking place simultaneously, or do you think that we should start with one before the other so we could actually gain some revenue?
No, I believe that we have to work simultaneously together. You cannot postpone this because, yes, in some stage they are going to be very connected. And when it comes to manufacturing and so on and so on. But logistics, logistics actually in the first stage is not that connected to the manufacturing zone or manufacturing industry. So working simultaneously parallel in these two projects are really very beneficial and very important.
Dr. Khoreiby, talking about the importance of the economic zone, and you've used the Russian example of having the Russian economic zone. Now, what is the best way to go about it? Do you think that it would be best for to establish some sort of government-to-government activities, and through that we would attract, for instance, the Russian investor through the government-to-government agreements and the presidential visits that we've been witnessing recently between Egypt and Russia, or Egypt and China? Or do you think that we should still aim to try and attract the international or the foreign investor individually without the interference of government agreements between each other? What do you think is the best way to go about it?
Okay. The best way, I have done it already in 2009. Because when we are talking about the infrastructure is three sets. Number one, physical infrastructure, roads, electricity, water, whatever. Number two, what is related to human beings, I mean to the manpower, if this exists or not. And number three, about the agreements, which already it is signed between Egyptian government and others, which these agreements will attract the investors to come. Yes. Okay, let me mention two agreements if there is a way to announce about it all over the world. I'm sure you are going to get at least, and I'm saying this, immediately between 50 to 100 billion US dollars investment. Number one, COMESA agreement, which by this agreement or being a member in COMESA community, Egyptian products entered 19 different countries with more than 500 million people without paying taxes. And of course, to do or to get benefits out of this, it is not only to someone to come and invest in industrial, I mean making factories and whatever. No, he should study. And this is even the Egyptian investors that didn't do, most of them up till now. We are members in COMESA community up till since 2000. And in 15 years, we didn't reach to 1% of the total international trade between, for COMESA community, because it's more or less about 400 billion US dollars, and our trade with the COMESA territories, it's something like 2 billion or something like that. And the trade balance not in our favor, in the others' favor. We should, for them and for the other investors, to study, because, for example, the textile. Egyptian cotton for centuries, it's very famous up till now, because they don't know that now we have cotton in the stores and we cannot easily to manufacture it or to export it. It's a big scandal.
Yes.
So the Egyptian cotton is very famous. Why not to someone? Because don't look for government anymore. Government, they made their role by making agreements. By this agreement, they lost part of the national economy, like customs.
Yes.
So the government already, they level the ground for you. They open the door for you. We don't need more. It's the role of private sector. On the one I'm talking about private sector should take what I'm going to say. First of all, should feel about the country. Number one, should take the practical and scientific approach for making export, for example. Can you imagine when, of course, you know, most of African nations, they like the colors, which is very shiny, and tell me how many factory in Egypt in 15 years produce this type of textile? No single one. They are taking it from India, from China, from whatever. And take this for all of other products. Okay. The African markets, we can say it's not, it's a poor market. So at the end, but they are importing.
Yes.
But what about the Egyptian-European Partnership Agreement, which is all of the European community? They are receiving the Egyptian products. You have certificate of origin from Egypt. All of Egyptian products go to the European Union. All of the 25 countries, or I don't know, maybe it is more now, without paying taxes since 2009. So, and take back the other, we can say, impact of that agreement. They gave us 10 years for us, for our products, to go to European market without paying taxes, without paying custom duties.
Yes.
But every year since 2009, there is discount in the custom duties for European products to come to Egypt by 10%. So by 2020, all of European products will enter to Egypt without paying any taxes. We will not pay duties.
Well, do you think that the recent tariffs and that were assumed on the imported goods, the luxury goods that were recently decreed, do you think that this will help the process, decreasing the imports and really giving a bigger chance to the exports?
I don't think about decreasing the imports. Why I have to decrease it? It's an open market. At the end, GATT agreement in 2025, there is no custom duties, finished. But why not to encourage the factories, which I did already, a first trip for using this facility in 2009, in personal base. I visited Thailand, Malaysia, and China, and told them about this agreement. Why not to encourage the manufacturers of vehicles? For example, when you look a brand of the Korean vehicles, they are exporting to Europe about 1 million car every year, okay? If you give them, if you make what I'm calling the Far East Industrial Zone, not Chinese, not all, Japan, Korea, China, all of this, and tell them, okay, you will take the land free of charge for 49 years. But come and invest. Why you should invest here? Because when you invest here, your products, which is the same brand of the car, will enter to European market without paying taxes.
Yes.
So if you are exporting 1 million car annually to Europe, and you are making the cost of the freight, which is of course at least 3 times value if you make the freight cost from Egypt. So you are making 3 advantages. If you are making it, if you are going to put your factory in Egypt. Number 1, you are going to take the facilities and the incentives of investing in this Far East Industrial Zone. This is the name. This should be like this. Number 2, you are going to produce, because the inputs of the product itself in Egypt, it's more cheaper. We are talking about manpower, talking about the power itself, or going and talk about many things. Number 3, the freight cost from Egypt to European market, it's just crossing
the Mediterranean.
Yes. Number 4, because this project, it has Egyptian certificate of origin, you show the importer in Europe, they will not pay customs. So, and at the same time, we produced high quality products, because right now maybe 1 or 2 products only we can export them to, only 1 or 2. But when you encourage these people to come and invest, everyone now look, because he is going to make a calculation.
Yes.
Okay, the product cost is 1, the freight cost is 2, we are paying custom duties like this, and whatever. I made an exercise, the saving in the cost before exporting is something like 20%. And if you add the freight cost, it's 21 or 22%. And if you remove the customs, it's more than 32%.
Yes.
So if you have this incentive, what do you need more?
Yes, definitely. Well, Dr. Massoud, because we're running out of time, I know it's a very dodgy topic to talk about, but it's about the value of the Egyptian pound against the American dollar. Now, the governor of the Egyptian Central Bank, Tariq Ahmed, said that there is probably no chance. Egypt will definitely not float its Egyptian pound against the foreign currency reserves at this level. How do you see the future of the Egyptian pound? Should we expect a really low performance against the dollar? Do you expect that we should wait for some healthy rebound for the Egyptian pound?
Well, honestly, this is what is going for a long time back, that the Egyptian pound actually under one direction speculative attack. But all participants in the market are expecting the value of the Egyptian pound is going to be less, deteriorating. So unfortunately, you really have to work hard to be prepared to float it.
It's not looking so good. What do you think, Dr. Khoreiby?
I think, and I'm asking President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, I hope he's listening us now or he's watching us. There is two laws. If we make it in 24 hours, the problem of the currency of dollar will be sorted and forever. Number one, to encourage, because we have 10 million Egyptians, they are working outside Egypt. But everyone is hesitant. My brother, he said, I'm not going to send my money anymore because when I go to the bank, I want $10,000 only every day. So the first law is to make free hand for all money transferred by the Egyptian working outside Egypt
to come back to Egypt.
To send this money
back to Egypt
without any constraints. If you want to withdraw it 100%, go even 1 million, 10 million.
And what's the second law?
The second law is about investment law. It should be clear, and also we should mention that any foreign investor will invest starting from $2 million. He will take 1 year tax-free up to maximum 10 years. So anyone will invest $20 million, he will take 20 years tax exempted. It means it's a very big incentive for him.
Definitely.
And also have free hand in transferring his
money.
real profit immediately without having any problems.
Yes.
If you make these two laws, the problem of dollar finished.
Yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, definitely a lot of suggestions because there are still a lot of challenges laying ahead, but unfortunately that's all the time we have for this edition of the Daily Debate. But before we go, I'd like to thank our very distinguished guest, Dr. Sherif Khoreiby, the Secretary General of the Arab Economic Council. I'd also like to thank Dr. Ali Massoud, the Professor of Economics at Beni Suef University. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for more coming up on Nile International. I'm Henry C. Thank you for joining us.